Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. To some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. Black heart, black mind, black and again. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. Let me put y'all up on some game right quick. I'm going to start off by asking that Allah guide my heart, my tongue, and my hands so that I don't oppress you, deceive you, or mislead you, and also so that no one ever oppresses, deceives, or misleads me. I want to cover 3 topics in this one. The first one is going to be about how we're handling Bill Cosby's release. The second one is going to be about 2 ladies that have remarked on men not approaching women anymore. Thank God. And the third one is going to be about Be Proud's reaction to SWP's video about Somalis and blackness in Islam. So, first topic. All I'm going to say about the release of Bill Cosby is that an attorney friend of mine on the West Coast read the depositions and said, well, Bill Cosby did admit to getting party drugs and giving them to these ladies. Apparently they consented to that. There was not any confessional admission in the deposition or on his answers in the civil trial. There was no admission of him laying up with them or sleeping with them or anything of that nature. Giving drugs to them with their consent is apparently criminal because it's drugs, not because it's sexual. And so that's where the crime occurred. But they had an agreement with him that they would not prosecute if he provided the transcripts from the civil trial. And therefore, they weren't supposed to prosecute him, and the higher court had to let him go for that reason. The prosecution had a binding agreement with him to not prosecute in exchange for something that he actually did provide them, and therefore the prosecution was problematic. That's how he got let off on a technicality. However, apparently what he provided to them was an admission of procuring drugs for them, not laying up with them while they were drugged up and could not give or withhold consent. That's the reason. Now, I don't have a copy. I don't have access to that transcript. But if this friend of mine who's not a liar read it and said there just wasn't this kind of confession in it, then until I get a copy of it, I have to take his word for it. I'm not really interested in black people being divided over this. It doesn't help us. And this is why I want to say that what we need to focus on, until you can get a copy of that deposition and study it yourself, we need to focus on is on how we're going to handle it. And how we handle it is, he ain't paying my bills, I ain't paying his. Black folk are going to have the same set of problems with or without him. We're not going to let him become an issue that divides us. Rape is not really an issue that divides us. Most of us agree rape is wrong. We also, well, unfortunately, black folks are divided along gender lines as to whether or not a rapist needs to be duly convicted for the crime before being punished for it. I myself don't believe that many women find rape as abhorrent as many men find rape to be. I don't think so. I think many women find rape to be abhorrent because it's seen as a desperate tool of ugly men and unattractive men that couldn't get it elsewhere, which means they were never supposed to get it anywhere, and therefore they just took it. I think they really I honestly believe that many Western ladies, I believe many Western women, white or black, hate rape because they see it as a means by which undeserving men might actually get some poon, as opposed to seeing it as just a crime and a violation of people's rights. I have a problem with it because of its immorality. Many men do. I could be wrong. That's just a suspicion I have as to why many women hate it. Secondly, the next topic I wanted to touch on is these 2 sisters that have covered the issue of black men not approaching sisters no more. Well, it's about tuck and fine. This is long overdue. Now, I said years ago this is what men were going to have to do because women didn't know what they wanted. But this was before the internet and social media, and I was told how stupid I was when I lived in the dream world because I just had no confidence and didn't know how to approach women, and therefore I was just fantasizing about. And no, that's not it. I was simply saying that when every way is the wrong way and there's no right way, you stop trying, because all it does is serve the interest of those who are against you. That's it. I mean, they don't have to come up and say anything about what, they don't have to do their own part. And we men used nature and biology to excuse them from doing any of their part, from doing part of their part, while allowing feminism to excuse them from doing the others of their part. So feminism freed them up from having to do what they traditionally had to do. And then we use nature and biology to keep them free from what they had not had to do before, even though it was justified in exchange for what they were now refusing to do. That's been our mistake. We screwed that up. Next, let me explain I want to explain this to you men, because there's nothing really to explain to the sisters. You men who have gotten these sisters to this point, hats off to you. Good. You deserve to actually be, when it comes to the Western sister, really when it comes to the Western woman, period, you deserve to be approached. You probably shouldn't take it, but you deserve to be approached. And they deserve to have to go through that transitional period in which their approaches get rebuffed because they're not trusted, in which the rejection rates are even as high as 100% due to mistrust. They deserve to have to go through that. It's not because I hate them. It's simply because this is what they have elected. And the second lady that was responding to the first said, I feel bad for the good women and the good men, had a valid point. However, even the good women that just weren't making the approaches themselves, it has to be understood. There were those that didn't have to. They got snatched up. That's fine. But there were those who they sat back in the cut. I'm not approaching. I'm a good woman. I'm not going to be mean, but I'm not approaching. And the problem was that allowed for bad women to get to these men first. They knew what the competition was, and they gave up by default, and then they still want to know where the good men are. Well, the good men ain't with you because somebody else did approach them and you didn't. I know it sounds, I mean, there's actually, you could at least reasonably argue that there is a logical flaw in what I just said. And I realize that. I just don't fiverguck. Because the Western woman is not going to change even if she gets a taste of her own medicine. How about if she never does? But maybe the consequences through which they must go might be a warning to the generation of young girls coming up. Maybe not. I'm not sure. I just know that things are going to be a hell of a lot worse if the Western sister never has to go through a consequence for the decisions they were about to carry on made by previous generations. Next, I want this to be understood too, and this is about the third topic. Be Proud and her response to SWP's take on blackness and Somalis and Islam. Ma'am, you were right to defend your people for the most part. I also want you to keep in mind that you cannot allow your opponent's underestimation. You cannot oversimplify the arguments of your opponents. You don't want to go through this trope of you're just mad because, no, don't oversimplify the arguments. The arguments could be right, they could be wrong. If you oversimplify the argument, whether it's right or wrong, you're going to wind up responding to an argument that they didn't make and aren't making, and you're going to wind up just like these Western sisters that now ain't never being approached and are going to have to approach a man or be with nobody, who can only be used below the belt. And I'm looking forward to the day they can't even get none of that. You don't want to make that mistake. Be proud. Here's what I mean. He was talking about how these race relations that are unfair are usually unidirectional. Non-black dominates black. Less black dominates blacker. That's what he's getting at. And this is a perceived pattern around the world. And so, yeah, if you're black, you have every right to be upset about this. But by the same token, keep in mind, this man, SWP, is not just upset because he wants to smash every other race of women but his own. That's not it. And he's not just trying to lump everybody in with being black because he's desperate for some kind of numbers or approval. That's not it. He actually will exclude someone like me from the ranks of black people because I'm ambiguous looking. He would do that. He would say that if you're a black person with one white parent, don't call yourself black. You're something else. You're another category. Okay. Now, I don't know about the Somalis who say we're not black, but we are black. I've seen a video in which some of them said, well, yeah, I'll take the scholarships, but we're not black. I've seen something like that. I saw one video like that, actually. I've heard of this phenomena. But the funny thing is that even though I'm not recognizably, visibly black at first glance, and I've been around many Farahs and Halimos, I've not heard some of them say this. No one says this to my face. And I'm the kind of person that people feel comfortable saying anti-black things in front of if that's what's in their heart. Until they know me and realize, oh, wait, dog, he's Black American and he's going to kick my ass if I say the wrong thing. But I haven't come across this in real life. So that means that these are minorities within the Somali community. If you are biologically, genetically, racially black because you are from tropical Africa, which is fine, you don't let someone hit your emotions and inflame them so that you say something that's not logically true. Don't let them do that to you. And don't oversimplify the arguments either. I disagree with SWP when it comes to religion in general. He doesn't just jump on Muslims. He gets on Christians, Muslims, Jews. He gets on people who believe in a religion because he's atheist. And he's like, if you black, why do you even believe in God? He ain't never came to save us. That's his mindset. My mindset before I was Muslim used to be worse. It was, how can black people love God? He ain't never came to save us. And I believed in him all the time because he created existence. So I was like, okay, well, I mean, here's creation. So it had a creator. That's his signature. He's there. Why he gonna let white folk do this? And he ain't never punished them like he punishes us for far less. I had to fight not to hate him before I became Muslim. And even for years after becoming Muslim, I worshipped him, but I couldn't like him, let alone love him. It took a while. When I submitted, I did it with no like, let alone love in my heart for him. I don't mean for SWP, I mean for Allah. I was submitting, but I couldn't do it with like, let alone love, because my own afflictions were too much and I was sick and tired of seeing black folk be afflicted and seeing the worst afflictor on the planet enjoy the most. But I worked on it until I was able to get over that. However, he's not singling out the Muslims per se. He's going to take a turn with everybody. When it comes to the Dominicans come from the same Africans in West and Central Africa from whom you said we come. You said the Nigerians are our people. We just got separated. Well, it's the same with the Dominicans. So when a Dominican with obviously black blood says he's not black, we have every right to kick them in the stomach if they're trying to crap on us. Every right. Because they will use, the ones that say this will use us. But many Dominicans actually don't have that mindset. They're happy with being black. Even when they got problems with Haitians, they're happy with being as black as they are. They probably don't want to be as dark as the Haitians. But that's the colorism from which most black people suffer. That doesn't even make them unique. In Africa, they're bleaching. In Somalia, the women are bleaching. So that makes them actually like most other black people, including your cultural and my cultural ethnic groups within the race. But you don't let people who have made you upset make you recategorize yourself genetically. We're not allowed to lie about our origins as Muslims. You are allowed to say, okay, well, I'm not going to F with this cultural group because them niggas is ignorant. But you got to understand, I'm going to tell you something about the black folks that'll sit up and tell you that you're not black because now it's convenient to be black. And then turn around when it's inconvenient, say you still an N-word and say that you are black. The ones that only want you to be black when it means suffering and never when there's any joy attached to it. Those kinds of people, they're the same kinds of ignorant furthermuckers that you actually have in your community, because every community has them. In your community, the same person is saying to you, well, you're a weirdo because you put the religion in front of the culture. You're a weirdo because you won't attend this political rally in support of a political party that is heavily tribally affiliated with our tribe. You won't participate in the tribalism of the elders that tore the country apart in the first furthermucking place, creating the diaspora in which you are. So therefore, you're a weirdo. When you put your religion in front of your culture, the ones that discourage that are the same ignorant ninjas that in our community will sit up and tell people like me and you and even other black Americans who grow up outside of the ghetto or who grow up in the ghetto and don't have dysfunctional ninja values that they're not black enough, that we're not black enough. It's the same kind of mindset. They don't get to tell me that I'm not what I am. I mean, they can say it, but they don't get to convince me I'm not what I am. I'm not supposed to let them inflame an emotion to where it overrides my logic. You don't want to let them do that to you either. That gives them control. Sis, don't give them that. You don't let someone use your emotions to override your logic. And now there are going to be people in my audience and maybe even my comment section that are going to say, be proud. They're going to say to me, look, Be Proud is a woman. Therefore, she's going to be ruled by her emotions. She can't help it. I say, yes, women are emotional. Then men, I don't hate them for it. They are. It doesn't serve them very well. They are such, but I do not say that they cannot override their emotions with logic. I know they can, because we see Western women that will use social standing. They become coldly logical when they're calculating social standing or financial advantages they can gain from a man, and they will override their emotions. The man they like, the man they want, who cannot provide them with the social standing or the financial advantage, they will overlook in favor of the man who can, if they don't even like him. They'll do that. That's what happens. It can be good, it can be bad, but they will do it, especially if it's bad. Then all of a sudden they can do that. So I know it can be done. Therefore, what I'm saying is, let your logic govern your emotions and override your emotions. That's what I'm saying to you in this recording. Don't let some ignorant ninjas, and I don't mean even like SWP in this case. He may be ignorant of the truth, but he ain't a dumb ninja. Even when he's wrong, he's not a dumb ninja. Don't let dumb ninjas convince you to recategorize yourself. Because what they're going to try to get you to do is believe that you are whatever is inconvenient for you to be at the time, because there are some people that just want to see everybody suffer. But they're much, they don't have half the IQ SWP has. And I'm not saying this as a fan or an enemy. I disagree with him when it comes to atheism. When it comes to history, we disagree. When it comes to my racial category, we disagree. I'm just trying to be fair to both of y'all. However, he's not as simple as you depicted him. It's not just about black men wanting to smash every other group of women. It ain't like that. It is about we have the right to as many options as any other man has, certainly. So it's not okay to turn around and exclude us and depict us as, or choose to place us as last and say that we're less manly than any other group on the planet. But most women don't do that. We're the second most sought after man after the white man. Despite what they've done to us, we're the second most sought after man. And in Southeast tropical Asia, there are women that prefer black men over white men, to use white men for money, and will turn around and share it with a brother later. It does exist. I don't know how, again, I don't know what the stats are, how common or how rare they are, but that exists. And that's part of why I've said that sometimes these Southeast tropical Asian women are better for us than even sisters, rather be sisters from the continent, from the Caribbean, or from North America or first world nations. Oftentimes I've seen it. I don't necessarily like to say this to the disfavor of sisters, but I've seen it happen. I know of cases like this. So, yeah, don't oversimplify the argument, because what you do is you'll discredit yourself in the long run. You see, when we Black American men start talking about the bad things that sisters been doing, what'll happen is that they'll respond with, well, you're just mad because, and they'll come up with something really cheap and shallow. This is part of why it is we're walking away from them. They done lost. They ain't going to get us back unless we real stupid. It's too late. They done pushed us away again and again and again and again. They done it multiple times. They done it with all kinds of propaganda in the media. They done convinced too many of us of that, and we're finding out they lied from the very beginning. They done split too many sons from fathers. We done found out about that. It's over. It is over. The trust is done with. They're gonna have to approach us, and it probably still ain't gonna work. But just to have a chance, that's what they're going to have to do, because we're approaching them in fewer and decreasing numbers, and I hope it decreases to zero, to where there's never a Black man in any first world country approaching a Black woman from that first world country. Because that's what they deserve. I'm sorry, but I'm not even saying this out of hatred. They made the decisions. That's what they deserve. But they started with doing dumb stuff like this when we were trying to open up intelligent discussions with them. Just don't let them pass that mistake to you. Because believe you me, even Faraz will turn around and leave alone Halimos if they start doing this. Because it'll be something they learn from the same women that drove they men away. I'm one of them. I'm married to a Halimo. Alhamdulillah, I'm very happy with her. But if she stays with me the rest of my life, I'm staying with her. If she calls me tomorrow and says, Black Mind, I'm done with you, I'm not waiting till you get back from that vacation. When you come back here, I'm going to be gone. Bye. Assalamu alaikum. We ain't together no more. Even if she does that, I'm not going back to the Western sister myself. Done. Western sisters don't have a chance. It would take two of them, attractive and educated, with their lives together, to come at me at the same time and say, we'll both marry you according to your faith, and we'll treat you well, in order for me to consider something like that. Pretty much stuff they're never going to do, because they don't have that kind of humility, and frankly, they think it would just be too good of a deal for me. They'd have to offer me exactly what the hell they feel is too good of a deal for me. That's what it would take for me to even think about it. And that's thinking about it, trying to figure out if it's a trap or not. I'm one of the men been drove the F away. I ain't going back. No Black British woman has a chance with me. No Black American, no Black New Zealander, no Black woman from a Western European nation has a shot with me. Over. And one of the reasons is because if I bring certain things up, they're going to start trying to oversimplify what I'm saying into something they can more easily attack, or something that just kind of, it's so bad it validates itself. We can't communicate, and I'm done with them for that reason. I don't want to hear what they got to say. It can't work. Happiest I've ever been has been with two Black women directly from the continent. And if it turns out that sisters in general, even from the continent, don't want me, there's still Southeast tropical Asia with a pretty high population density itself. What ain't gonna happen is that Western sister gets another shot with me. Or even the Western mayonnaise mafiosa, for that matter, the Western Adanka woman. She ain't got one either. She never did. I know not to trust her. That's another recording. But just don't make that same mistake that Boom Shika Bon Quisha and Sapphire done made. Because that was a mistake they made. Oh, Lord. They convinced themselves of it. And, well, I mean, look what it's gotten them. You want to see where their lives are headed when they get older? Cats, dogs, bunk beds, and vibrators, and tubs of ice cream. That's what's out there waiting on them. And I don't want this for other sisters from other places because of that type of error. And that's something that partially is taught by Western sisters, but some of that is actually native to the continent, various cultures on it. Because it's an easy thing to do when you hear an argument you don't like. When the argument is right, when the argument's wrong, it's easy to just oversimplify it. It is very true. There are people, there are Somalis that will say that they're black when it's convenient, not black when it's convenient, but they're rare. I think they are. I don't know what the stats are. Nobody's gone around and studied it, but I'm saying they do exist. He's not wrong to talk about the existence of the phenomena. That's not it. He was wrong when he went in on the religion. And when he got his history wrong. That's where he was wrong. That's all. And you were right for clearing that part up. And I thank you for it. Mahat Sanad Walal. In any case, thank you for listening. I say this to the whole audience. Thank you for your patience. Sorry it took so long. And y'all have heard another reason why it is that I say black heart, black mind, black out, assalamu alaikum, and black heterosexual non-select male power just because they don't like it, and black patriarchy until extinction or judgment day.